Hello, I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at All Things Social Security and Joy Disability Law. Your video is about to start. I just wanted to remind you that if you click the join button below, you can learn more about the memberships offered at a very affordable price that can give you a little more direct attorney answers to your questions. Have a great day and enjoy the video. Morning, happy weekend. Okay, let's just go over something with regard to SSI and when we want to leave money or assets or wealth to a loved one who is or will be eligible for SSI now or in the future. It's very, very complicated, guys. We always talk about special needs trusts. I think some people think that any old trust will do. That is not the case. I don't do trusts. I did one in the very beginning of practicing. It was actually in one of my divorce cases. So it was actually when I was still doing the other stuff. So this is, 25 years ago. And it was complicated. It was a whole learning, and I'm sure everything's changed since then. But that was after 2000, so less than 25 years ago. And apparently laws about the trust with SSI did change on or after January 1st of 2000. But in any event, I see people say, oh, you just take the money and put it in a trust for your SSI loved one and make him the beneficiary. So sorry. I know we all think we know everything, but that is not the case. You can't just do that. Not if you want him to keep his SSI. I mean, maybe SSI isn't important anymore because he has all this inheritance or whatever it is, and he's no longer a poor person. That's fine. We're talking about people who want to make sure their loved one continues with the SSI, which might also then include Medicaid, right? Because as we know, a huge amount of wealth can be gone in an instant, practically, with medical care. So that insurance is really, really important. So the myth about just get into a trust and make him the beneficiary where he's not the trustee, not good enough. So I'm going to get into it. And I'm going to attach the SSA's basic page here, and then you can delve deeper if that's what you want. But to make it very clear, there are very limited and special trusts that have to be used if you want to accomplish this. You cannot just go make up a trust in your bank. This doesn't work that way. So as the SSA says it, a trust is a legal arrangement regulated by state law. So each state has its own laws of how to create a trust in which one party holds property for the benefit of another. Now note that this is not always a bank account. A trust is like an arrangement and generally documented in the trust documents to create it. In certain situations, a trust can be set up for an SSI recipient, and that is indeed true. A trust can contain cash or other liquid assets, and it can contain real or personal property that could be turned into cash. So how does a trust affect your SSI benefits? Listen up. And this is for trusts after the beginning of the year 2000. Generally, the trust will count as your resource for SSI, quote unquote. In the case of a revocable trust, the whole trust is your resource. In the case of an irrevocable trust, if there are any circumstances under which payment could be made to you for your benefit, the portion of the trust from which payment could be made is your resource. So that's pretty open there, wouldn't you say? What things count as assets and are used to establish a trust? Assets usually include your income, your resources, or property or payments that you have a right to but do not receive. That could be an inheritance that hasn't gotten to yet. It could be a settlement from a lawsuit. Okay, are there any exceptions to the law on trusts? And they go on to say the law does not apply. So those things where you're going to get nailed for the trust and what you're getting from it and what might be in it, it does not apply. And this is the part you have to pay attention to. Trusts that are under section 1917 D4A of the Social Security Act, which are often called special needs trusts. Also, trusts under the section 1917 D4C of the Social Security Act, which are often called pooled trusts. So you really have to find a trust attorney who is familiar with these two Social Security Act code sections. It's not that difficult to do, and but you just have to make sure you have all those criteria in there about those trusts and know what's going to happen to the resources in the trust at any given time. Okay, what will cause what? They go on to say, we will not count the trust if counting it causes you hardship and you meet the undue hardship criteria. That's going to be a tough piece of proof, I'm sure. Certain revocable trusts under this section 1917 D4A or C, the ones we just mentioned, may still count as your resources. So you have to really pay attention to the details. That's why it's always a high-end trust drafting specialist that does these. Yes, I did one a long time ago, but it probably took me 6 months of study, and I'd already been practicing not Social Security law, other laws at that time, when I was doing New Jersey state law. But it was a lot to make sure you have done it right, because if you don't do it right, you can cause someone irreparable damage. Okay, so it's got to be very nitpicky and very careful. They do make a point to say that some trusts and trust payments that they will not count as your resources or income for SSI purposes can affect your Medicaid eligibility. Remember, Medicaid is state run, right? Whereas SSI is federal run. So even though sometimes some states will say, hey, if you're on SSI, we'll give you Medicaid, that's fine. That doesn't mean that they follow the same rules though. So one that might not affect your SSI might affect your Medicaid. All of this, you have to have a really intricate, a special needs trust attorney, I think would be your answer. And make sure it's special needs trust as per the Social Security Act. Okay. Just making up I can go to the bank today and set up a trust account. We had to do it a couple months ago with my husband for a trust from his grandma. It was a headache, but that was really because the bank individuals didn't really know how to do it, not because we had to be, protective of an SSI beneficiary, because no one was on SSI. But it is complicated. And with a special needs trust, it is far more complicated, because one mistake and you could be blowing that person's SSI future. Okay. All right, guys. That's that whole thing about, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing. We can't be saying, oh, just go make a trust. That's a dangerous thing to say in the world of SSI. It has to be very particular. And then it's wonderful. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.